For about the last year, the seemingly undying rivalry between Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain has honestly become one of the most important and interesting stories in all of NASCAR. For some reason, the 11 and the 1 just are magnetic towards each other. No matter where they go on the racetrack, no matter what track they're at, these two seem to always end up near each other. Whether it's the 1 taking out the 11 taking out the 1 pulling a Hail Melon, and everything in between. For some reason, Hamlin and Chastain can't get away from each other, and at least when it comes to Hamlin's side of it, he has a great disdain for Chastain. So we're going to get into the latest bit of that today and ask the question, did Denny Hamlin make a huge mistake or make a good point? But more on that right after this. The weather is just starting to warm back up, and we all want to go out and enjoy more of it without really much taking us back. That is where Factor comes in. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit with nutritious, chef-prepared meals delivered straight to your door. With Factor, you can also choose what kind of meal kits you want, with options like Calorie Smart, Veggie or Vegan, Keto, and my personal favorite, Protein Plus. And with 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options, there's always something new to try. Here, I'm having some jalapeno pepper burgers after a late-night workout, and it hit the spot perfectly. So, to get your order of Factor today, head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use Iceberg 50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's Factor75.com or click the link below using Iceberg 50 for 50% off your first Factor box. Now, back to the show. Now, I want to say before going into any of the details here, no matter what side of the aisle you're on this, whether it's for Chastain or for Denny Hamlin, neither, whoever it may be, I do have to say I respect Denny Hamlin for at least showing honesty. Even if we disagree with the honesty, you got to admit it's refreshing to see a driver actually say, yeah, I meant to take a guy out. Might not be cool, might be a childish move for a veteran of his status, you be the judge of that. But like I said, it's good to see a driver get out of the car, whether it's a day later, day of, or later in the week, and say, yeah, I meant to do that. Not, no, the brakes are failing, no, maybe this happened, oh, I just got in too hot. It's refreshing to see. But the big crux of the issue right now is whether or not Denny Hamlin made a really big mistake for a short-term gain or had a short-term mistake for a long-term gain. And we all know that Denny Hamlin wanted revenge on Ross Chastain, especially for what has been going on recently, looking at the clash, and that's one that Hamlin really cited when he was talking on his podcast called Actions Detrimental about the incident. And a lot of the times, and Hamlin's right on this, he's been on the bad end of the stick between the 11 and the 1. So I want to play a little bit of what he said, and we can go into a lot of it.
So at the end of the race, me and Ross got into it. Basically, here's the thing, right? Is that I got to the end of the race. I saw he was on the outside of me. I went into turn 1 with the mindset that I'm going to try to get the best finish that I can get. I'm on 2 tires, and I go into turn 1, and while I even went shallow on speed, my car plowed. I mean, what it means is I turned the wheel and the front tires just were going straight. And they were calling the 1 car on the outside. So at that point, I knew that I was screwed. I was about to go backwards. I had all the 4 tire cars on my ass. They were going to pass me, or more than likely, in the next corner. If they didn't, I mean, I know I had 2 fresh tire cars underneath of me anyway. I was 4 wide. And I'm like, I'm going straight to the back.
Because he's around you, he's going to get a better run. You're in the middle.
And so at that point, I know that I'm going to my crew chief told me there was 18 cars on the lead lap. And at that point, I said, all All right. Well, I'm probably live looking at a picture. I'm probably running 6th or 7th. I'm about to get passed by everybody behind me who's on fresh tires. I'm about to finish in the mid-teens. And I said, "You're coming with me, buddy."
Really?
I did.
Wow, that's not what I thought.
It wasn't a mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake.
Okay.
I unleashed, I let the wheel go, and I said, "He's coming with me." And so, it's been interesting because I hear people say, well, this for last year, this for this, for that. It's not, I got wrecked at the Clash. I don't know that Ross sees it that way. I think he's still curious about what I thought about the Clash. I don't know why he would wonder what I thought about the Clash. But, I've said for a while, well, you got to do something to get these guys' attention, whatever, and I've said it, and I think that Ross doesn't like it when I speak his name in the media and when I had this microphone. But I told him, well, I have a microphone, and I'm going to call it like I see it. And until you get a microphone, you can then say whatever you want about me. But the fact is while I'm sitting here talking, I'm going to call things the way I see it, and sometimes I'm going to have to call myself out.
Now, like I said, I think that there are two sides of this you can be on, and it can be polarizing if you take time to think about it. So, starting out, let's go over the side that many are saying that Denny Hamlin screwed up. You see, the biggest reason that a lot of people are giving for this is that Denny did it very early in the season. Phoenix is race 40. You got 32 more races to go. 22 to make the playoffs, which you are not locked into at the moment. You have a shot at it, but you are not all technically locked in because you don't have a win yet. And that means 22 more chances for Ross Chastain to ruin your postseason before you even make it. Not to mention the 10-race chase for the Cup, which you could easily take somebody's season out with just one move. He said it himself that Ross doesn't really know totally what he did wrong at the Clash, so why test somebody and make them feel like possibly they need to pay you back because you unjustly in their eyes took them out of a good finish? Denny Hamlin straight up said it. He let go of the wheel, went up the track, said, well, if I'm not finishing up front, Ross Chastain isn't either. And for many fans who may not have thought much of the tangle between them at the Clash, it did seem unprovoked. Many people had forgotten about it because it's the Clash. It's a BS race in a lot of ways because we all know people are going to drive without their heads in that. But Denny Hamlin held a grudge. He and Chastain have gotten together before, and it seems like at this point, revenge really hasn't taken its course to make any difference. We saw what happened at Pocono between the two of them, and Chastain still got into Denny Hamlin after that event. And he may do the exact same here, because whether you love him or hate him, Ross Chastain is going to do everything he can to win. Whether that means pissing you off or just flat out beating you. Doesn't matter which one to him. He'll deal with the consequences after he's celebrated in victory lane, at least from his eyes. And Chastain can also see this and stay peaceful like he has been for the most part with Hamlin, admit fault. But what happens if he snaps? What happens if or when he does? Denny Hamlin could pay dearly because Chastain could take him out at a much more prime opportunity to ruin his season. I think that's the big crux of the issue. We saw what a difference points can make in the regular season between Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr. last year. We saw the difference of points in the playoffs because of wins, and the 1 and the 11 going for wins. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the 1 is behind the 11 at some point, and well, we all know how it goes. He'll move the 11 out of the way and then apologize after the race. So honestly, you really may have played yourself if you're Denny Hamlin.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Especially for the fact that in this race itself, you lost a ton of spots. Hamlin wasn't going to finish in the top 10 with those old tires, as all of the guys with freshies had basically made their way past or were making their way past. But Hamlin still could have gotten a halfway decent finish and maybe gotten an extra 10 points that he didn't otherwise. And on top of all that, Ross Chastain beat him to the line. Is it really that great a payback if the guy you're trying to take out with you ends up beating you anyway? That's a question a lot of fans have said too. So there's the side that people say a lot that Hamlin made a huge mistake. Now, what of the people who said that he made a big point, like Hamlin is saying? They would say that over and over again, Chastain has gotten the upper hand over Hamlin while treating him or racing him dirty in a lot of people's eyes, and now multiple times Hamlin has taken him out. At this point, Denny Hamlin is someone who's not to be trifled with. You could say that looking at Chastain, he has now more than once had races ruined that he could have, if not won, finished up front in, and lost valuable points for he and his team and damaged his trackhouse car. So that is one side of it you can look at as well. Maybe Denny Hamlin got through to Ross and solved this long-term issue with the short-term fire of revenge. It might not be the perfect way to do it. It might not be the way that many agree with doing it, but when you look at the way that Hamlin has basically been at the short end of the stick on almost every single occurrence between the two of them, all the way back, honestly, the biggest one being Gateway in 2022, well, you can understand the frustration and wanting to get this solved immediately, peaceful or in basically NASCAR warfare. So there are two sides to look at this, but that's where I'm going to give it all on to you and ask you the question. What do you think? Did Denny Hamlin get a huge mistake out of this or make a huge point out of this? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel for more great NASCAR content. And thank you to all my channel members for your continued support. If you want to hear more on this subject, and probably more sides than just mine alone, watch the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Eric Estep's channel tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have a ton to talk about in this episode for sure, especially between the 1 and the 11. So, until then, have a good one.